Look, moving to a new city is a major undertaking. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, what's it like raising kids in Oklahoma? Look, I'm not just a realtor, I'm a husband and I am a father, okay? And if you look up the name of my website, it's Girl Dad Realty because I'm a girl dad, okay? And let's get something straight before we go on. This video is not about trying to convince you to move to Oklahoma. This honestly is just a conversation from one parent to another. Raising kids is hard, okay? Moving with kids is hard, all right? And so, again, I just want to give you as much information as possible. And please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Now, when it comes to kids, most parents want to know about education, all right? So if you're moving to the Oklahoma City metro area, Edmond Public Schools, according to niche.com and the Daily Oklahoman, is the top-rated school district pretty much in the state of Oklahoma. In fact, last time I was on niche.com, I think it's in the top 3% in the country, okay? So if education is important to you, Edmond's going to be probably your top choice. Another school district in Edmond on the west side is going to be Deer Creek. According to Daily Oklahoman, Deer Creek's going to be number 2. It's going to be very, very close to Edmond Public Schools. So if you're going to look for a house due to education, the Edmond area might be your top spot. Now, Yukon, Mustang, Piedmont, Moore, Norman also are A-rated schools, all right? So those are some great districts. In fact, I really like Mustang. Mustang's doing a big push to education. Yukon too. Bethany is a small school district in Northwest Oklahoma City. A lot of parents are raving about Bethany schools. What about just normal things to do? I can't emphasize this enough. Oklahoma City is a top 20 city when it comes to population. There's almost 1.4, 1.5 million people that live in the Oklahoma City metro area. We have an amusement park called Frontier City. We have a massive water park called Whitewater. There's the Adventure District that's going to have the Cowboy Hall of Fame, the Softball Hall of Fame, Science Museum, the zoo, Firefighters Museum. So all that's pretty much in a stone's throw of each other. Then you also have downtown where I'm at right now. You have a Sigil Park, which is amazing. You're going to have the square. You're going to have Marriott Gardens. I mean, there are plenty of outdoor activities for your kids to do. Okay? And like the last thing I mentioned, like going to downtown, all that stuff's free. You just got to drive them down here. Let them play, let them go run around. So there's plenty of things that are economical, and there are plenty of things that are free that your kids can do. All right? And most neighborhoods too in Oklahoma City are going to have neighborhood pools, splash pads. A lot of them are going to have parks, walking trails. And like I said earlier, my kids play outside all the time. Now, are your kids still going to walk up to you and be like, there's nothing to do? Of course, they're kids, you know? But in reality, they can find something to do. Another big one is extracurricular activities. And this is something that a lot of people don't think about before they move here. You know, people always worry about housing. They're thinking about cost of living, thinking about all this other stuff. But they forget that their kids are in sports. And they're like, now you're like, okay, Russell, how much does this crap cost? And what are the most popular sports or activities in Oklahoma? If for girls, it's going to be softball and gymnastics. Okay? If your kid's in softball or gymnastics, then it's going to be highly competitive here. Look, Bart Connors, Nadia Comaneci, they have a gym out here in Norman. University of Oklahoma, they're like the best gymnastics school in the country, both men and women. All right? Softball, University of Oklahoma, they're the best softball school in the country. The Softball Hall of Fame, it's right here in Oklahoma City. So the U.S. national team, this is their home. So when it comes to softball and when it comes to gymnastics, those are highly competitive sports. Basketball, soccer, volleyball, also competitive when your kids get to more of the club level. My daughter is playing more competitive basketball. It's about $125 a month, okay? My youngest daughter is playing more competitive volleyball. It's probably around $125 a month. When it comes to boys, it's going to be football. Football is king. Wrestling for boys also is pretty big. Baseball's growing too. And again, those sports are probably going to cost them probably around $150 a month to play those sports competitively. Again, you can find other cheaper options, flag football, things of that nature, where they can play in leagues for 8 weeks and only pay $100, which a lot of those leagues, those church leagues, aren't very competitive. So it's got to pick your poison. They're usually more economical. However, they are not very competitive. And when kids get around 5th and 6th grade in Oklahoma, you're going to have to kind of make some choices on, are they doing it just for fun or are they doing it to compete? So if your kids are going to be in extracurricular activities, especially a sport, and you want it to be competitive, look at spending about $100 a month at least. But again, there's always a cheaper option. What about daycare cost? Okay, look, it doesn't make a difference what state you're in. Daycares are always going to be expensive, especially the smaller they are. For an infant, it's really about $185 to $220 a week, depending on where you're going. Okay, so you could easily be spending $800 to $1,000 just on daycare for an infant. For a kid that's a little older, maybe a toddler, you're probably looking at about $175 to $200, depending on where you are. Okay, now everyone's going to charge different. Okay, but from doing my own research and talking to people, that's kind of what they're paying for daycare. Again, so if you have 2 kids that are under the age of 3 or 4, I mean, you could easily be spending $1,800 a month just on daycare. And that's another thing why people move to Oklahoma, because a lot of times people can survive off one income. If you're making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year in Oklahoma, then maybe your spouse can stay home with the kids. Another thing is religion going to be pushed on your children? And the answer to that question is, look, Oklahoma City is a faith-based community. Okay, we joke and say that Oklahoma is sometimes the buckle of the Bible Belt. All right, so Christianity is a big part of the Oklahoma City metro area, and your kids are going to be exposed to quite a bit of Christian beliefs. With that being said, is it going to be pushed on them? No. Okay, because look, half the kids your kids hang out with, they're going to go to church. The other half are not going to go to church. All right, so it's not like there's a bunch of people that are going to be trying to indoctrinate your kids into Christianity if that's something that you don't want. Now, if that's something that you're looking for, then Oklahoma is going to offer a lot of great options. There's going to be summer camps, there's going to be Wednesday night church, Sunday night church. Again, Oklahoma City is a Christian-based community. So if you're looking for your kids to be more connected on a spiritual level, and maybe you yourself, Oklahoma is a great place for that. Another thing when it comes to kids, it's going to be about safety. And here's the thing about safety, in my opinion. It's really about what you're looking for as a parent. Oklahoma is an extremely safe place, in my opinion. All right. I grew up in Vallejo, California, and in elementary school, we found a loaded handgun at school. And in high school, some kids in my class got stabbed. So that's how I grew up, okay? And if you're going to move to the suburbs, the Edmonds, the Deer Creeks, the Mustangs, the Piedmont, okay, I mean, kids in those areas, they're not built that way, okay? So in my opinion, Oklahoma City is a pretty safe place to raise kids. I mean, they may make a angry TikTok against somebody, I guess, but kids, in those suburbs aren't really built like that. Now, it doesn't mean that your kid might not run into a bully. It doesn't mean that your kid might not get into a fight. Kids are going to be kids. You know what I mean? There's always going to be some a-hole at every middle school. It's going to be some jerk at every high school. Okay? But again, for the most part, my kids are, 5th, 6th grade, and we haven't had any real issues. Now, are there some rough parts to Oklahoma City into the metro? Absolutely. Again, I used to be a former news reporter as well, so I know of plenty of areas in the Oklahoma City metro that I wouldn't be necessarily thrilled about moving into and raising kids in that area. Okay, but for the most part, in my opinion, in my experience, I don't really worry about my kids. Again, I live in the Deer Creek, Edmond area. My kids, they're out running around playing, and and having fun. And I don't really worry about them about too much. Okay, so in my opinion, Oklahoma City, especially the suburbs, they're going to be really, really safe. What about diversity? Okay, now when it comes to the suburbs, I'm not gonna lie. Again, I live in one. Some of those numbers could be like 75, 80% white. Okay, but with that being said, I've never looked at my kid's yearbook picture and been like, "Damn, you're the only black kid in the class." You know what I mean? They might have been one or two, but they've never like been by themselves. Okay. But again, some of the suburbs, it's gonna be predominantly white. And if you want your kids to be involved in more culture, that's you know what you're a part of. So if I wanted my kid to be part of more African American activities, there's plenty of activities in Northeast Oklahoma City. If you're from a Hispanic family, there's going to be plenty of activities in South Oklahoma City. Okay, if you're Asian, there's an Asian district. Now, have my kids run into any issues regarding race? No. Have my kids come to me with questions? Absolutely. You know, but I would never say my kids have run into something where they felt uncomfortable or someone was being racist to them. So look, this video once again is not about trying to convince you that Oklahoma City is a great place to raise kids. Personally, I think it is. This video is more or less just trying to tell you what it's like, what my experiences are like as a parent. Okay, look, if you're moving to the Oklahoma City metro area, I'd love to help you. So go ahead and give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or just log on to my website, realtor.realty.com, and we can talk. If not, I'll see you on the next video.